Hello and welcome to Sideways. This week we're talking about trying to get people to change their behaviour, why we attempt it and why it doesn't work. And when pressed, Martin reveals the identity of the musician he'd most like to poo on him. I think this is one of my favourite episodes, so if you're here listening to Sideways for the first time, you're very welcome. And I think this episode's probably a pretty good place to start because it feels like it's representative of the other 160 odd episodes that have gone before. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it as much as I did when I was editing it. Interventions. Hello.
Good morning to you. Are you okay?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good.
We're wearing the same colour sweatshirt.
Well, it's a sort of a dark blue, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't coordinate beforehand, did we?
No, but as I've been posting videos this week on Instagram and TikTok, I'll just pay a bit more attention to the shambles that I come on here looking like most weeks.
Well, okay. Well, I was talking about coordinating.
Yeah.
Dress wear. I went out last night, and as a group of us went out, and two of us had Harringtons on.
Harrington jackets, crikey!
Yeah,
I've not heard Harrington jackets mentioned for many a year.
What are the chances of that happening, eh? Even had the same check on the inside.
Really?
Now, two guys, it doesn't really matter. Two girls wearing the same thing, it's an absolute disaster, isn't it?
Yeah.
If that's not being a bit sexist.
Well, it is being a little bit sexist, but I think you probably get away with it.
Thanks, mate. Yeah.
I had a Harrington jacket, but I think the last time I had one, I was probably about 16 or 17.
Was it? Yeah. They're banging fashion these days, mate. Get yourself sorted out, yeah.
Did you get yours in a charity shop? I know you enjoy a charity shop.
I did. I think I did, actually.
Yeah.
I did get it in a charity shop, yeah.
Don't they call that thrifting?
Whatever spin you want to put on it, it makes sense.
That's cool. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? I think you go thrifting in a charity shop. I've never really got into charity shops, but I feel like I'm missing out.
Oh, you can get some great stuff. I mean, you get stuff in there that've actually still got the tags on. They're brand new that people have bought and never worn. So yeah, it's a great idea. It's fun. It's cheap retail therapy.
Well, you should take me charity shopping sometime.
I'll have to take you. I'll show you the joys.
Show me the ropes.
I'll show you the ropes.
To show me the ropes. What happens? How you do it?
I can show you the best ones to go to as well. I've done my research.
What I'm after. That's what I'm after. The best ones to go to. Yeah.
Anyway, the first idea I had for this week's episode, and indeed was the sort of working title of my notes, was "Can we change people?"
Oh.
The research that I did mainly gave the answer no.
That's certainly been my experience.
It would have made for quite a short episode. There's some interesting points that did come up that I want to discuss with you, but perhaps really the question should be why we want to change people. Mm-hmm. But I'll come on to that.
All right.
But before we start,
yes,
I've got some animal theme. I've got two animal themed stories actually, where they're both about escapes of animals, which I came across quite coincidentally this week. The first one was about this bull that escaped from a farm in Haslington in Cheshire.
Yeah,
and it charged at people dropping kids off at school. You don't want that, do you? I mean, it's hassle enough, isn't it, trying to get parts up and drop the kids off at school? But you don't want a bull chasing you. Which is very good. Yeah. It sort of reminded me. Just thought of this right now, really, about people do that for fun, don't they? The old Pamplona bull run in Spain.
Awful.
Can you? I mean, it's when I thought about that, and I did look at it at one time, because I remember thinking,
you thought you wanted to do it?
Well, I thought I wanted to see what the qualifications were, And apparently, if you're over
fast, I think.
Well, yeah, if you're over 18, mate, you're in. You know what I mean?
Really?
The only caveat is, which is why it's relevant to this to our podcast, I suppose, that the police check to see if you're intoxicated first. They don't let you, if you're too pissed.
They won't let you go.
They won't let you go. No, you've got to have a sound mind. I mean, it doesn't seem a very sound mind. You want to go charging down a street getting chased by loads of bulls.
Yeah, it seems a bit odd as well because, you could be, let's say you're, 20 and intoxicated. Even if you're intoxicated, you might not necessarily run in a straight line. You'd probably be reasonably fast. But if the only qualification criteria is to be over 18, then presumably you could be 80.
Yeah, you could do, yeah.
And with 2 new hips, and they'd let you try and chase down a road away from a bull. Seems a bit silly.
I know. And there's rules on it as well. Apparently, you're not allowed to hide in corners and stuff. You've got to be out there you can't try and find little crevices to hide in. You've got to do the running. I mean,
so you can't dart into the nearest shop.
No, you get disqualified then. You can't say you've completed the Pamplona bull run.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to do that. So,
but they release. There's 12 bulls they release. Six of them are fighting bulls, and 6 of them they're steers. You know what steers? They're steers, which are the castrated young bulls that grow up into be oxen. So there's these 12 quite healthy bulls steaming about, hurting people, and there's been a few deaths over the years.
Well, people deserve it if they play around with bulls like that.
I agree. And I mean, it doesn't end up very nicely for the bull anyway. They all end up in the bull ring, don't they, at the end of the run, and it's pretty unpleasant all round.
Yeah, dreadful. Actually, you've started us off on a real downer there.
I have really, yeah. Well, the second
really upsets me, the thought of cruelty to animals.
Well, it does me, and it's horrible that that's still allowed to continue.
It makes me think about how there's quite a surprising number of people killed every year by cows. When they're just walking across fields of cows. People think that the bulls tend to be the most dangerous, but I don't think that's right. I think cows, certainly mothers with calves, tend to be quite dangerous. And certainly if I'm out with the dogs and I have to cross a field with cows in it, that is not a happy place for me.
Is it not? Well, I suspect you're right. I mean, I'm always wary. I walk around the edge of the field and but they start walking towards you sometimes.
Exactly.
I'm curious, don't they?
Exactly. And when I want to hurry across the field, that's usually the time that Nelly wants to eat some cow shit. So it's a right schmozzle when I'm trying to pull her away from a massive cow pat and the bulls are wandering towards us and I'm thinking, oh, God.
But at least they're free and wandering.
I'm going to be in the Kent Messenger, aren't I?
Well, the second escape was a little bit happier, really. It was a clouded leopard called Nova, and she escaped from its enclosure in a zoo in Texas, in Dallas. But so they had to clear the zoo out a bit quick, obviously, because there's loads of people watching. But they managed to successfully net her and get her back in, and so it hadn't escaped the compound of the 100 or odd acre site. So
she just wanted to have a gad about.
She wanted to stay out, with some of her mates or other animals that were around. Yeah,
that's understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, so she was all right. So there's a couple of animal things happened this week, which
I'd have put. See, in that situation, I'd have gone the other way, and I'd have put all the people in the zoo in a net.
yeah.
So she could have a safe look around.
Yeah, at her own pace.
Exactly, and the humans could get a taste of their own bloody medicine.
Well, quite. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of zoos either, to be honest. But,
no.
Although
I quite like an elephant. Not in a zoo.
No.
It's nice to see an elephant.
Oh,
and obviously, it's always nice to see the gorillas and the monkeys, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, at least in other countries, like I remember when I was in holiday in Sri Lanka, there was elephants sort of wandering around, and they had an elephant orphanage. They just marched them down the road to the stream and to the river. And that was lovely to see them like that. Yeah. Anyway, subject matter. Should we get back onto that?
Yeah, we might as well. Or just one other thing.
Oh, go on.
Do you remember a few weeks ago, I was telling the story about a woman who'd been praying to an effigy she thought was Buddha, and it turned out to be Shrek.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, Adam came round for dinner last night, and he brought me a few bottles of beer.
What?
One of the bottles of beer he brought me was called a Buddha beer, and the bottle was in the shape of Buddha. And I thought, that's odd, isn't it? Because I'm pretty sure that Buddhists don't drink.
No, they don't. No, that's right. Yeah.
So there's something. I thought you might consider that somewhat blasphemous.
I do, to be honest. Yeah.
Right, and then I was I was then going to call you a hypocrite for buying me an inflatable Jesus.
Well, I lean more towards Buddha than Jesus, perhaps. How about that?
Maybe you care less about blasphemy in the Christian faith?
I do, yeah. That's right,
okay. All right, good. Just wanted to clear that up.
We've cleared it up, and I think we've done it justice.
Let's crack on.
Yeah, we will do. And I'll start with a sort of a quick extract from the research that I was doing, and it goes like this: you can't make somebody change. You can inspire them to change. You can educate them towards change. You can support them in their change, but you can't make them change. And that is so true of us people in active addiction, where the results can be fatal if you don't change. But we still get dragged kicking and screaming sometimes towards it, and we know from experience that doesn't have a happy outcome.
I think I think that's a truth. It's everywhere. It's not just in addiction. I think that's true of, we don't want to be told what to do. We don't want someone else telling us what to do. We want to feel that the shifts or the changes that we make are of our own volition.
You're exactly right. But that sort of that extract that I read there, it sort of sums up how our peer support groups work. Really, it encompasses all those points that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's why sometimes when people do come along under court orders that we've talked about before, they rarely have a successful outcome.
Have you ever seen that succeed?
Yeah, I have.
So what? So someone might be given a court order and they might not be keen to get into peer support or into recovery, but actually once they're there, they are open-minded enough to kind of take on board some of the things that are happening, and they surprise themselves, perhaps. They do.
That's why we'd never turn anyone away, whatever circumstances they come to groups. I think they quite like the warmth of it and the connection that we have, and they see people that have sort of role models in front of them, that no longer take drugs or drink, and they seem to be having a good life or reasonable life, and so that I think there's a bit of inspiration can happen there.
Being honest about your vulnerabilities is disarming, isn't it?
It is.
If you're in amongst people who let down their own guard and they're willing to talk to you honestly about their own experience and the things that they've struggled with, it's very difficult to maintain that kind of hostile facade.
Yeah, it is. But I think there's a quick caveat here, perhaps, just that active intervention in someone's life can be necessary. And if a person sort of is a danger to themselves or others, and sometimes, with addiction issues, an intervention is necessary just to keep them alive sometimes, so they are in a position then to make choices further on down the line. But generally speaking, though, making someone do something, even if it's for their own good, we know requires, I don't know how you see this, but sometimes from the outside looking in, it requires sort of coercion or manipulation of that person. And it requires intervening in the way, and this is something I was reading about, but I thought, that's quite a good point. They're intervening in their life in a way that is a boundary violation.
It absolutely is a boundary violation.
Yeah, and it can sort of change or damage that relationship, sometimes more than it helps.
Yeah, I mean, I think you used the word inspired, didn't you? I think there's a fine line between offering someone an alternative perspective, giving them your view, and telling people what they ought to do. And although there's a kind of fine line in terms of the way that those two things might present, there's a massive gulf in terms of the way that the two tend to be received. You can tell someone, listen, from what I'm seeing, I'm wondering if it might be helpful if you did this or thought about that or considered this. That obviously is coming from a place of love and care.
Yes.
But if you say to someone, well, what you need to do is this, it's almost as if you've lost sight of the other person. It's like you're telling someone, well, you must do this because this is what I think, this is what I do, this is what, I believe you need. And as soon as you lose your sight of the other person's sense of control over themselves, I think, you're on very thin ice.
I think you are. I mean, that particular boundary violation, it's basically about taking responsibility for another person's actions and emotions, isn't it? Even when it's done, and you mentioned that, done with the best of intentions, it can mess that relationship up, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully not irreparably, but it can have a negative effect, can't it?
Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons why you see it so often in addiction, because, of course, you're in addiction. If someone's in active addiction, they have to an extent, abdicated responsibility for themselves.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of opportunity for someone else to take responsibility for them, but it doesn't work, does it? We've talked about this many times.
We have, and I think a great illustration of that is our mutual friend Jim and his unsuccessful battle with his addiction that unfortunately took his life in the end. I mean, I remember, over the years that I've known him, he was sort of cajoled by his parents and thrown out of the family home. He was made homeless. They enabled him to a large extent for his addiction or paid for his rehabs. And there's all this, and I went to lodge with him for a year, and that part of the idea of that was to help to try and get him straight. And I used to get him to come along to groups, and we'd go to different meetings, and different fellowships, and all sorts. At the end of the day, he still didn't want to change. And so it was a lot of sort of like a multi-intervention, if you like, or a multi-support system. But at the end of the day, he didn't want to change. And
I think the important thing with something like an intervention is you have to be clear with yourself about the extent to which you can guarantee any sort of influence, and the extent of that is zero. So the benefit of doing all of those things is that you are offering that other person potentially some routes out of where they are. If they don't want to take them, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, as you say with Jim, his parents would be very supportive and kind of enabling, or they'd abandon him. Yeah. And, you see that in lots of different situations where people will veer from one end of the spectrum to the other, trying to get the change. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be super, super kind. Oh, that's not working. Now I'm going to be super, super nasty. Now that's not working. Yeah. You've got to understand when you start that there's no guarantee that anything will work.
No, and I think with addiction, we know that the recovery rate is very low anyway. So you are chasing quite a difficult target. The odds are stacked against you helping people to recover. And so if you take away the desire from that person themselves to want to recover, you've got no chance.
No, you haven't. I think it's one of the hardest, certainly if you're watching someone you care about or someone you love struggling with anything emotional, one of the hardest truths to accept and grasp is that nobody changes until they want to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a mantra in the recovery circles, but it's so true. Yeah. People that come along that have been coerced and manipulated into doing so, we don't see a great deal of change in them. But I think the part that I mentioned right at the introduction here is about why we want people to change. I think it was quite interesting when I was reading up about that. I mean, it's pretty obvious with addicts, isn't it, why we would want someone that's in active addiction to change. But I think we've all known people that perhaps go into relationships thinking they can change the other person, to iron out the bits they don't like. And there's an old saying that I came across, and again, this is a little bit bit gender stereotyping, all right? So a little bit on PC, but we'll unpick that, if you like. It's not meant to be. But there's an old saying that women go into relationships believing over time their partner will change, and men go into them hoping their partner will always stay the same. Now, again, I think it is too general to say that it's one particular gender that will do that. But I think I've seen that happen a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you take the gender issue away from it, that whether it's whichever part of the relationship it is, that desire on one part of the relationship for the partner to change and the other person to think, well, as long as you stay like this forever, we'll be okay. Yeah. I mean, both of those desires are doomed to failure, aren't they? Because you can't change anybody else, as we've said, unless they want to. And of course, the idea that someone will stay the same through a long-term relationship is absolute nonsense because we're changing all the time.
Yeah. It is. It's strange. Again, so it's the old stereotyping, really. That your wife will eventually change into their mum. When you marry someone, you look at their mum, you can see what they're going to end up like.
I think that's a lot of old bollocks, though.
Absolute nonsense. Yeah, absolute nonsense. But
I think you've changed into your mum.
Yeah, I think I did when I got married. She'd have been proud of me. I think it's typical, isn't it? I think that, but I think that's relationships in general, isn't it? They change over time. the people within them change and the relationship structure changes effectively.
Yeah, I think that question, and obviously I'm sure you're going to go on to talk more about it, but I think the question about why we want people to change is interesting below the obvious, which is, well, I care about you, I can see you're suffering, and I want to do something about it. I think there are, sometimes there are other aspects which really are about us. There's something about me that wants you to change. It's going to help me feel kind of more comfortable or whatever it might be.
Well, that's exactly the point. Those 4 points that came up when I was looking at what motivates our need to change others. And you're right, the first point was sometimes the biggest motivator for seeking change in others is our own comfort. We don't like the discomfort of difference. Yeah,
and we don't like the discomfort of seeing someone else's pain.
No.
If you're in a relationship with someone, or you're related to someone and they are struggling, that is hard for you to watch every day.
Yeah.
And so I think it's easy then to get confused about what your motivation is. You might go from thinking that actually what you're trying to do is help that person, but sometimes people have to be allowed to stay in that pain for as long as it takes before they get to the point where they think, well, actually, I've gone through that now. Now I can go in a different direction. I can get some help, or I can do whatever is necessary. But all the time that's going on, it's incredibly difficult to watch someone hurting. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes there's no option.
I agree. But sometimes the differences in the relationship are not related to pain, are they? They will try and change someone, or I may have done the same. You may have done the same. I don't know. But you try and change people that when you're in a relationship because they do something which you find uncomfortable, or perhaps embarrassing, but that you try to change them because it's uncomfortable for you to see them behaving in a certain way. And again, we know that's quite a tough route to go down, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's when you get into a relationship with someone, the idea that you're going to love every single thing about them forever, it's ridiculous.
It is, isn't it?
How can you possibly? There are obviously going to be differences between us, and there are going to be things about our partners that we struggle with. But you can't. It's not like pick and mix, is it? When you have a relationship with someone, you're accepting them as a whole person.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. And there's compromise that's got to be taken into account within that, isn't it?
It's part, even the bits that you don't like about someone, they're part of what makes that person who they are.
It is.
So when you say, well, hang on, I like these bits, but I don't really like those bits and I'd like them to change. What you're really saying is, I don't like you.
Yeah.
I like these bits of you, but I don't like you because I can't accept these other parts. That's, I know sometimes it might be kind of difficult to do that, but that is really the subtext there. If you want to be with someone, if you're in a relationship with someone, you have to accept them in their, as they are.
You do. And I think it goes back to that analogy which we've used on a previous episode. It's like listening to an album that you put on. And even if there's bad tracks within it, that's part of the beauty of the album. They shouldn't be discounted. And I think it's the same with people. It is part of the overall package, isn't it?
Yeah, you see, like some of the lesser known Boston tracks you've probably not listened to enough.
I can't get past the first stage with listening to Boston. Anyway, the second point, which is pretty similar to the first one, really, it feels easier to try to change someone than ourselves. Most of the time when we want someone else to change is because we are trying to avoid making changes ourselves. We would rather have the other person move out of their comfort zone so that we don't have to.
Exactly.
Makes sense, doesn't it? But it sort of moves on. It's almost integrated with point one, really.
Yeah, it's if this thing that I find awkward or difficult about you, if you fix that, then I won't have to deal with my own feelings about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay. Well, the third point is, which is very true in the addiction circles. You're motivated to try and change others because you don't understand why the other person thinks or behaves the way they do. Now, an addict will act very irrationally whilst they're active. And it makes no sense to someone else outside looking in that doesn't have the same addiction issues.
Yeah.
And it's a point that comes up almost at every meeting you go to, a support group meeting, that it's not complaining. I suppose it is complaining to a sense, but discussing the idea that coming to groups, you'll find people here who will understand what you're going through. And trying to explain to other people why you do it, it's very difficult unless you've walked in those shoes yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, isn't it? But yeah, I do absolutely agree. And I think one of the things that makes that helps us avoid that sort of conflict is, and I admit it is difficult, but is when we find ourselves able to stand in someone else's shoes and try and perceive a situation from their perspective. It's not easy to do, but when you are able to put yourself in that position, I think it is helpful. With something like addiction, if you haven't experienced addiction, it makes sense that you need to maintain an open mind.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Kind of beginner's mindset, don't you? So really, the thing that's going to be most helpful for you with someone who is struggling with addiction is to ask them to tell you about it. Explain to me what it feels like.
Yeah.
Tell me as much as you can about it, so that even though I can't experience it, I have at least some sort of intellectual understanding of it. And I think what stops that happening is the frustration that we feel. You see someone's behavior and they'll start to tell you, and they'll say, well, this is what happens. I feel like this. And then if I drink, I feel like this. Yeah, but wouldn't it be better if you did X, Y, Z? It's like no, stop. You've got to avoid doing that. You've got to try and put yourself in a space where you're just listening. And I think, people find that very, very difficult. And they obviously find it very difficult if they're in a close relationship with that person. But I think that's potentially the way through that. If you don't understand why someone's behaving, bloody ask them and listen.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think and it's even trickier with addicts because we tend to lie. We tend to manipulate the truth, which is why support groups like Al-Anon and Al-Ateen exist, so that people can then sort of learn about the condition and have a little bit more understanding and potential empathy with the person they're having to deal with that's still in the throes of addiction.
I think you have to be also careful on the other side of it, don't you? You probably, I'm sure you'll have seen this happen in all the work that you've done. But you can hide behind not being understood as well. So you can say, yes. Nobody understands me. Don't get it. They don't get it. And I think you have to be careful, not to get to the point where you're using that as an excuse.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so there are potentially difficulties or challenges on both sides. Yes, the person who isn't in addiction needs to be open-minded enough to understand what's going on, but the person who is in addiction needs to be honest enough with themselves to be truthful about really what's going on there.
And it feeds back nicely to our episode from last week. We can very easily play the victim in that situation.
Yeah.
And say, well, that's the way I'm built and that's the way I'm going to stay. Everyone hates me. No one understands me. You've heard it all, I'm sure, many times in your professional life as well.
Do you think those sorts of problems tend to endure when people get into recovery? So, for instance, if you get into recovery, obviously the people that are in your life still won't understand your addiction. They won't be able to see it from your perspective. But do you see a shift in those conversations at that point where relatives perhaps can be more patient and open-minded about, well, what is it that was happening to you? What is it that goes on? Or do you find that tends to... No, I don't find not make much difference.
No. Well, they're just delighted they don't have to deal with it anymore.
Right.
They don't have to. It's a conversation that doesn't have to be had anymore. Once you're in recovery and sustained recovery, it's no concern. They don't have to concern themselves with it. And as long as you're continuing to put the work in yourself, as I do, and the people that come to groups do, I think they feel that we're in safe hands.
Right. So when someone is in recovery, would it be true to say then that is a time when it is useful to have those conversations? If you've got someone in your life who is in recovery, that is a good time to be asking them about, tell me about addiction. Help me understand it.
Absolutely right, because the person that then is in recovery starts to understand it themselves. It's very complex.
And probably feels properly supported.
It does, yes. That's it. It is nice to talk about it when you're in control of what you're saying, when you're no longer lying and manipulating the truth to feed your own issues. And it's quite nice when people do take an interest, and people do tend to be quite fascinated when you tell people you're in recovery.
So do you think? Sorry, go on.
They just see it as a bit of a hidden world. If you're talking to someone that doesn't know you, but it comes up in conversation, so I'm in recovery. all of a sudden it's a completely different conversation.
So do you think if people don't ask, if they've got a friend or a relative or a partner in recovery and they don't ask, they take the opportunity to kind of wash their hands of it, do you think that serves to maintain the shame that person felt?
Yeah, I suppose I hadn't really thought about it, but probably yes, to a certain extent. It is quite nice to sort of exorcise that particular demon from time to time, just to cleanse it. Yeah,
because the way you're talking about it, it almost sounds as if sometimes it becomes an elephant in the room.
I don't think it's not even a point for discussion anymore. It's almost as if,
oughtn't it?
It should be, really. But again, it depends how much you want to continue talking about it. I've got to the point, perhaps, in my recovery where I don't talk about it as often as I did. I was really proud of my recovery initially.
You talk about it for an hour every bloody Sunday.
Well, exactly, yeah. Which probably gets it out of my system. I don't need to talk about it anymore. But yeah, you do get to a point where we don't. It's almost it's a backstory that you don't need to want to go over again or need to go over.
Yeah, you might not be talking about it directly, but you're using your experience all the time, aren't you? In the work that you're doing in group. Yeah. So, and which is the same sort of thing, really, because in your position, you've turned something that was incredibly destructive and painful in your life to a kind of constant good.
Yes.
So that is, so in a sense, that is part of turning that on its head, isn't it? And saying, well, now I've made something of this that is positive. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, even going back to doing these podcasts, I think Ronnie told me yesterday we've done 166 podcasts. She keeps a very close eye on how many we've done. And it's surprising how often, the stuff that I've learned through the research and the stuff that you've told me that I use in groups. I plagiarise you mercilessly in groups, but I often do say, well, this is what Graham's told me, or this is what I've learned from what Graham's told me, when we're doing the podcast. So I do name check you, so I don't just do it and take all the glory myself. But it's been a very useful tool doing this, which has helped me increase my own knowledge of the area from your input and from the research. But I think hopefully when I go to groups, I do bring something that's useful to the table. And unique.
Yeah.
The fourth point out of the four that I've found was one of what motivates their need to change sometimes is believing that we're right all the time, and it's a big reason why you expect others to change. So if they've got a different opinion or they're behaving in a different way, if you're of that mindset, if that sort of person that believes you're 100% correct all the time, we've all come across people like that. Other people have got to change to feed into your narrative rather than the other way around.
Yeah. As we've discussed before, it's much easier to substantiate beliefs we already hold than it is to change them.
Yes.
I think that's kind of what you're saying there, isn't it? If I am of the opinion that if you do this, then everything will be better.
Yeah.
It takes quite a lot to shift that.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
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 Yeah. If you're convinced you're right all the time, which, as I say, I thought perhaps we all fall into that category to a certain extent. Your ability to see someone else's point of view is going to be hindered, isn't it? If you don't allow yourself to consider that someone else perhaps is right.
Yeah. I think the danger there is not so much people at the edges who do believe they're right all the time. I don't think that's most people.
No.
But what is most people is a desire to be right.
Yes. Yeah.
That's human.
Yeah, it is.
We want to feel that the things that we believe are right. And even if the thing that we believe is destructive, we still want to be right. Even if we think we're a pile of shit, we want to be right about it, and we'll be really good at finding evidence to prove it. So I think that's the thing that's more dangerous when you're thinking about changing someone else. It's easy. It's easier to believe that your opinion on what is best for them is right, but you don't know. And that comes back to the thing that we've just been talking about. You have to find the ability to be open-minded enough to listen to what they think and what they feel and what they want.
Yeah, it's surprising how hardwired the thinking is in some people. People that conspiracy theorists, for example, they won't consider, they'll take advice or evidence from some areas and that's it. There's no shifting their mindset on that.
Yeah.
So that comes across. But to sum up really where my notes have led me to, as to where it started from, how I was originally going to write about, and to how I've ended up getting my notes together on, is the couple of quotes. First one is, consider how hard it is to change yourself, and you'll realise how little chance you have in trying to change others. Which I think it's good, again, when you think about that, and certainly from my point of view, how difficult it was to make changes within myself. Very difficult to cajole that or push that onto someone else.
Yeah. It makes me think about, some people come into therapy and they want answers.
Yes.
And they hope that what therapy will do will be to tell them what to do. And it can be disappointing then sometimes when you have to say to someone, listen, I don't have the answers. My job is to try and help you find them in you. And it can feel really deflating and disappointing for people sometimes. But the only way you're going to make sustainable change is by deciding it for yourself, by concluding for yourself the kind of value of a therapeutic space is not to be judged for where you are now. Because that's one of the things that stops us from changing. We're so full of judgment for ourselves. Oh, I'm terrible. Unless I'm better than this, I can't, there's no point in trying anything. You got to try and get away from that. And so suspending your judgment of yourself is part of what helps you to change. And as we've been saying, that's also one of the things that is most likely to help someone else. Suspend your judgment of them.
Yeah.
Be open-minded. Let them be an individual, the individual that they are. Support them. That's the thing that is most likely to underpin change. When it comes to addiction, this happened to you, didn't it? It's really the value is in people who will stick around. They'll just be there. They'll be there and they'll wait until you're ready. And then when you are ready, they'll support you. Absolutely
right. That's how it works. That's the only way it works, really.
It is the only way it works. Right.
But just as a point about therapists, generally, you're saying it's people are disappointed when you don't come up with these set of answers that's going to cure all their ills. I think you underestimate it sometimes, because I've heard a lot of therapists say that, but it all seems to me whenever I have to talk to therapists and people like yourself, you come up with things that you think, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. That's good. The things like, or it's properly education and understanding of the situation, which therapists tend to be able to, things like the drama triangle we discussed last week, so all of a sudden you introduce that from your knowledge and it starts to make sense.
Yeah, but what you're doing then, you're right. And what you're doing is you're taking something that has been shown to you.
Yeah.
And you're saying, I can use that.
Right. Yeah.
Which is very different from what you need to do is.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's.
So if I say to you, so you might say, so even something even more abstract than that, you might tell me about something that's going on in your life. And I, as a therapist, I might say, well, it sounds like from what you're saying that, maybe you feel like this about that, or maybe you're worried about that. And that might be illuminating for you. You might think, yeah, actually, that probably is how I feel. That's kind of, and so with that insight, you then have a choice. You can then decide to do something that you can think, well, that's useful for me. It can take me in a different direction, or you can walk on past it.
Yeah.
What isn't helpful is, for someone else to say, this is what you need, because that person doesn't know. They're not you.
No, quite. No, that's a good point. And perhaps that just last quick little quote will sum that up nicely as well, which is, you can't change someone who doesn't see an issue with their actions, which again, unless someone's acknowledging that what they're doing is abhorrent or is harmful, then they're not going to make any necessary changes, and you're not going to be able to make them do that, are you?
No, and I'd go further than that. I'd say you can't change someone who does see an issue with their actions.
No, probably true.
It doesn't really make any difference, because that's true in addiction, isn't it?
Yes.
You can be in active addiction. You can have reached the point where you've got a problem.
Yeah.
But it still won't be someone else telling you that you've got a problem that's going to change it. It'll be you thinking, actually, that's it. I've got to do something.
I've got to sort it out. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's really it, mate. That's what I've got to in my notes. I think it's rounded up quite nicely.
Nice. So I tried to change you this morning, didn't I? Trying to move the time forward.
You did, to a large extent. You invaded my boundary. You were trying to take over my emotions.
I should have just suggested it to you and let you make your own mind up, which, of course, you did in the end anyway.
I did. Well, I was on a video call with my grandson.
Yeah, I can understand why that would take precedence over me.
So Well, no, it's just that it was, and I think you were trying to call me at the time just to discuss the time. So, he calls at random times of the day and night on a video call, and I always like to see what he's up to.
Absolutely. Was he wiping bogies on anyone?
No, but he was. I think it was this week. I did say to him, "You've been a good boy today, William," and he said, "No, I got poo up the wall." So, and apparently, Grandad laughing at that doesn't help the matter.
Yeah, I can imagine, but it's difficult not to laugh at that, isn't it?
It is difficult not to laugh at that. But
was he doing a dirty protest?
I think he was. Yeah.
He was channeling his inner Bobby Sands.
But he's probably getting himself used to what's going to end up later on in his life. Hopefully
Let's
not.
hope not. Let's hope not.
But anyway, gratitude lists then. Should we go on to that?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Did you want to start?
Oh, I can do. This week on my gratitude list is park distance control.
Park distance control. Okay. Now
Right.
I can see that. I can see why that should be. Why that would be on anyone's list.
Okay, so as you know, where I live, we've got street parking. I don't have a drive or anything, and people can park selfishly.
Yes.
Which annoys me, when they leave too big a space, and you think you could have got in, you could have moved up a little bit and room for another car there. Anyway, there's one particular neighbour. I won't describe him.
No.
Who's absolute bastard for this. Parks his car really badly.
Inconsiderately.
He'd done that yesterday. So I parked quite close to him because I thought, well, I'm not going to fall in with that. And then somebody came and parked really close to me. So it's really hard for me to get out. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of there? But of course, with park distance control, which of course we didn't have years ago.
No.
It's great because when you're about to smash into the car behind or in front of you. And as I hear that sort of constant beep, I'm thinking, I will just go a little bit further and just hit your car because I'm annoyed with you. But I did refrain from doing that, please, because that would be very passive aggressive.
Yeah, it would. And I think, parking control is great. But I think we do that consistent beep. I remember hitting a skip when I ignored the constant beep.
What, you mean one of those small corn snacks?
That wouldn't have caused the damage.
I was going to say, I don't know why you'd be worried about that.
No, I did reverse into skip because I thought I've got a little bit more to go, bang. So it wasn't extensive damage, but I overrode. There's the. I
definitely wouldn't be overriding my park distance control when it came to a skip.
No, that's immovable, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it is one of those facilities on a car which has made driving a bit more enjoyable, or a bit more necessary. I think as the roads get busier,
exactly,
and the parking spaces get tighter.
So I thought it was. I've had some quite serious ones the past few weeks, so I thought I'd have a trivial one.
That's a good one. It is a good one. Mine's a bit trivial, really, but I think on my gratitude list for this week, I've got hog roasts. Now, I suppose I hadn't been to a hog roast for a long time, but I got invited to one yesterday, which I went to. Right. Which was a celebration of a birthday party, a celebration of a birthday. And I'd forgotten how good they were. It was many years since I've been to one. It was, although it was starting to get cold in the evening, it was quite a nice day yesterday. There was a live band on, and it was jolly. And I thought, I'm grateful. I suppose I was grateful for the invite. Yeah, I was grateful to that hog roasts exist because it was fun.
Well, here's something for you. I've never been to a hog roast.
Have you not? Okay, get yourself to one.
I don't know if I'd want to these days. There would have been a time when I'd have been right up for a hog roast, but I don't know if I'd be too bothered now.
Well, no,
I wouldn't mind going for a hummus roast or something.
Yeah, well, I suppose, if you're straying more towards vegan or vegetarianism and veganism, then a hog roast is definitely the wrong way to go, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the smell would attract me, though, probably.
Yeah, the crackling, the smell of that crackling and stuff is great. But anyway, that's what's on my list.
Right.
Oh, go on to the day.
For a hog roast. Nice.
I'm just eating generally. It could be on there all the time.
Yeah, that is top quality in eating.
Days of the year.
Yep.
The only one I've got, there's two, but one of them is National Honesty Day today. So you've got to be completely honest with people. Apparently, it's a good idea.
Now that's fascinating because my newsletter, my blog this week is all about lying. I can tell you from the research, the extensive research that I did, that being honest all day ain't going to happen because on average we all tell on average 1.6 lies a day.
Well, we did an episode on lying, didn't we? Sure, we did at one point.
There's mine.
Yeah, you've lied about it. Okay, so that's your one. You've got a 0.6 of a lie to do.
0.6 of a lie, yeah. So that'd be a white lie, presumably, wouldn't it?
Okay, yeah.
Small one.
A softer version. So your National Honesty Day, but the other one, which started in 1938, so it's been going a long time. It's National Bugs Bunny Day today.
Really?
So, yeah. Well, it was April the 30th, 1938 was the day that the first Bugs Bunny episode aired.
How do you feel about Bugs Bunny?
I thought as a kid, I quite enjoyed Bugs Bunny. It's enduring. Its appeal, but
it deserves its own day.
Probably not, mate. Not any, but I think there's other cartoons that are just as influential. Probably.
Exactly. I'm wondering if there is a day devoted to other cartoons. I mean, is there a Mr. Magoo Day?
I don't know. I'd like a Mildew Wolf Day. I think they're one of my favourites.
There must be a Scooby Doo Day.
I'm sure there must be.
I mean, it even sounds good, doesn't it?
It does sound a Scooby Doo Day. It does, yeah. And it'll come up in my research at some point, perhaps.
Well, I hope so, because I'd be right up for Scooby Doo.
You'd be right up for that,
yeah.
So that's on this day in music. Just a couple of quick points. In 2005, the Dave Matthews Band. I'm not.
Yeah, I know the Dave Matthews Band.
Okay, they were fined after their tour bus dumped human waste on a boatload of tourists in the Chicago River. Okay, so there was 100 people on a boat on an architectural tour, looking around, thinking, this is nice, this is lovely, bosh. And a musician's poo gets dumped on them. They got fined for that, and they made a donation to local river conservation and that.
Here's a question for you then.
Okay.
So if you had to have a musician poo on you, who would you choose?
Who would I choose? I don't know. Who would I choose? Because I liked their music, or
I don't know.
Their poo was pure.
For whatever reason, if someone said sorry, you're going to have to have a musician poo on you, who would you go for?
I don't know. I'd probably go for Billy Bragg or Iggy Pop. Or Shane McGowan.
Poop, do you mean?
Shane McGowan. These have been quite runny. It's not something I thought about. I'd have to think further. But
I definitely wouldn't go Shane McGowan. I reckon that'd be pretty miserable. I think of those three, who was the first one you mentioned?
Billy Bragg.
Yeah, I think Billy Bragg. It'd be a good socialist poo, wouldn't it?
It would be a good socialist poo.
Good left-wing poo.
It would go to the left, as it?
Yeah, I reckon it'd be solid.
It probably would, yeah.
Wouldn't it? Yeah. Excellent. Good.
So you haven't answered who you would have put on you then?
I don't know.
Mary Chapin Carpenter. I just like saying the name.
Yeah, maybe Mary Chapin Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Be quite a delicate poo, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's quite small. She's quite diminutive.
Yeah. I should have gone for a woman, really. So I missed the boat. I didn't think about it.
It's too late. You've gone for Billy Bragg. I definitely wouldn't have gone for Barry White. Would you?
No, Kate Bush would probably be right, but no Barry White. No.
I think Mary Chapin Carpenter's quite good. The person that came to mind was Little Stephen, who used to be
in the Disciples of Soul
guitarist. Yeah,
he was in with Bruce Springsteen band, wasn't he initially?
Yeah. Maybe Bruce Springsteen, the boss. Having the boss poo on you, that'd be right.
I don't like him, but no, so I wouldn't want him to poo on me. No.
No. All right. Well. Okay. Good.
Anyway, we could do a whole episode of who we.
Yeah, we could do. Yeah.
We drifted. Oh, the other point was, it sounds a bit tame now, but in 1976, Keith Moon.
Yeah.
As we all know, the drummer with The Who. Obviously, always an erratic sort of chap, wasn't he?
It's got to be drugs related.
No, it isn't. Well, it's probably the ramification of him being on a bit of a bender, but he paid 9 cab drivers to block off both ends of a New York street so he could throw the contents of this hotel room out of the window. So he was thoughtful, wasn't he? He didn't want to hurt people.
That is thoughtful. I mean, there's a theme, isn't there, because it's similar to the Dave Matthews Band pooing on tourists.
It is, yeah.
He's throwing televisions onto tourists, but wanting to avoid doing so.
He didn't want to hurt them. He just wanted to have the excitement of chucking stuff out the window.
What did he do? Paid cab drivers to block the road off?
Yeah, so each end of the road, he paid 9 cab drivers so it cleared the street so that he could then chuck stuff out the window.
Done. Good old Keith Moon. It reminds me of a little TikTok video I saw the other day of some bloke totally off his head trying to pay a Liverpool taxi driver with Rizzlers.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was he drunk then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he was either drunk or stoned or
both.
Maybe a combination of the two. Yeah.
Good.
All right.
That's enough for this week, I think, don't you?
I think so. Let's get out and enjoy that sunshine.
Yeah, going to.
All right,
mate.
Later.
Speak to you later. Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.